Hello there. Welcome to Breakfast All Day. How's it going? I am Christy. That is Matt. That is Alonso. Finally, for us this week, we have the second film in the 5-film anthology from Steve McQueen called Small Axe. Number 2 is called Lovers Rock.
Yes, this one is set in 1979, and it is basically all about a house party that takes place. And Lovers Rock is a sort of a specific kind of romantic genre of reggae music. And this movie very much kind of just plunges you into this party. And the way many parties do, there is romance and there is betrayal and there is anger and there is flirting. And in this case, there is what looks like amazing food. And,
and the music.
And the music is stunning. Like, I did not know the song "Silly Games" before this, but I will never forget it now. Early on when everybody's doing that thing they do at the beginning of a party where no one wants to be first on the dance floor and they're all hugging the wall and looking at each other, the DJ puts on Kung Fu Fighting and damn it, everybody hits the floor. So Steve McQueen, if you watch a film like Hunger or, Shame or 12 Years a Slave, he is capable of making you feel really terrible and of making you experience some really awful sensations. And in Lovers Rock, particularly out of these Small Axe films, but in all of them that I've seen so far, is also capable of taking you to like elevated levels of joy. Like, there is such a palpable ecstasy to this movie that I have to say, the first time I saw it, the feel of people close together and dancing and sweating and reveling in each other's company, it was overwhelming to me. Like, we've been stuck inside for so long and we've been stuck away from other people for so long that movie, just like this film, captures so much of that essence of what it is to be in a community and to communally, participate in something like dancing, like music. And it blew me away. I mean, it's so powerfully done, and it's less overtly political than the film we talked about last week, Mangrove, but at the edges, you do get the understanding that this is a community that is under fire. This is a community that has to constantly deal with white racism because it's the West Indian community in London, like all of the Small Axe films are. But oh my God, it's just when you talk about the way that like Luca Guadagnino makes you smell the things that are being cooked or taste the things that are being cooked in I Am Love or in Call Me By Your Name, there is that same level of sensuality here where you feel like you're in that hot, sweaty room listening to those tunes and experiencing the sheer joy of it all.
Right. And before Kung Fu Fighting, he's the greatest dancer. And the whole place is like, oh, it's my song. And such exuberant joy. Yeah, that tendency, that aesthetic choice that Steve McQueen so frequently makes, as you pointed out, in movies like 12 Years a Slave or Shame, to just like hold a shot for a punishing amount of time to make you feel like evocatively, deeply feel awful emotions. Yeah. He applies that here to just lust, like to romance. And there's a thing he'll do with the framing where you're just seeing people like torsos. You're just seeing bodies grinding up against each other in like subtle ways that grow increasingly erotic. And it's mesmerizing. And the fact that you have been with them all night long and, the lighting is kind of dimmed and yet the jewel tones of the women's dresses pop out because everyone's in a different color dress. Like one's like a bright pink, one's a lavender, one's a deep blue, one's a deep green. And there's just something like mesmerizing. You feel the claustrophobia in a way that is not stressful. It's not like an anxiety inducing thing. It's more like
it's a weighted blanket.
You feel enveloped in the joy and in the love. And yet because it is so tight in there and because they're there, you're with them all night long. It's one of those movies that takes place over the course of one night. There's sort of like a subtle undercurrent of tension. Like all this could go sideways at any moment because everyone's drinking and everyone's smoking. And then there's a couple of different little relationships that have some issues to them. And there's some potential threat of danger there. And so while it's absolutely rapturous. There's also such mastery of tone that he also makes you feel a tension beneath all of that. I love this so much.
And the costumes that you point out and the casting, I think both make it really clear where you're able to remember who everybody is and sort of follow them all over the course of this evening without a ton of expository dialogue of like, meet so-and-so, or this is so-and-so. And like, you just know who they are. And so then you're able to find out where they begin in the evening, where they end in the evening. Also, there's the sequence where they do the song Kunta Kinte, which is, again, is I think a very political moment of this, where it's really charged and the men are really kind of feeling the energy of it all.
But also, I think, don't they have to have this kind of party in an apartment because it's difficult for them because it is so racially divided in this section of London? Like, they couldn't do this out in the open, so they can do it more openly here.
You see in Mangrove in last week's installment where like these, places that were meant to be gathering places for this community were under constant police crackdown and observation as being like, oh, drug dens or whatever,
Or just black people enjoying themselves. Let's stop that.
Can't have that.
I mean, there is a lot of marijuana in this. Like a lot. Like,
it's a reggae party, Matt.
I mean, to the point that I felt high after watching this. They're smoking so much. No, this movie's terrific. The music is just so lush and so perfect. That Kunta Kinte dub that they make the DJ play no less than 3 times, and that's the one where like you really start to feel the tension. And that's, even if you don't know the music that's in this, the music's so on point, and it's it really does. It's true to what they would have been listening to at that point. This is the same era at which you see, there's that Jamaican diaspora that both goes to London and to New York. And this is, those same folks that went to New York were there at the birth of hip hop doing the same kind of thing. They're having block parties outdoors as opposed to inside, but there's, you see it all, like the MCs that are, doing kind of the, early versions of rapping over, dub plates and just music and singing along and chatting along. It was killing me that they didn't have a second turntable, but
but they scratch at one point.
Well, it's more that they, they've got the siren that comes in to get them from one song to the next, and they do run the thing back. They're not exactly, but this is, it's great. I love this movie.
When everybody's so into silly games that they all start singing it just to continue the song, like they create their own extended mix.
Right.
Basically.
And then, you've got like the literally, like there's that shot of the walls sweating, there's an excitement and not necessarily a tension, but a kind of anticipatory feeling as you're seeing everybody get ready, right? I love that. Like, this movie doesn't hold your hand at all. And I love that because McQueen figures you're going to keep up. And look, like, to be honest, there's some pretty heavy West Indian accents here. Yeah. And if you're not watching and you either have to run some stuff back or have the subtitles on, it doesn't matter. Like, for the most part, it just doesn't, like, you get what's going on, and there is a joy here. There's a celebratory nature, and this is fun. And best thing I could say is, like, man, I want to go to that party. I want to have a party like that. And one of the things I really dug is that there was an episode of Lovecraft Country where you also got to see that, like, oh yeah, dance parties were about sex. Yeah. Lest we forget. And this is why everyone's parents were so upset. Like, dance parties are about sex. Like, not all of them, but there's a certain kind of dance. There's a certain kind of big get together that it's
that's why the nuns tell you to leave room for the Holy Spirit.
Right. I mean, like, oh yeah, grinding has been going on for decades. It's going to keep going on, and damn. This movie's great, and it does make me wish that there were some cool parties to go to like this, even though I'm probably too old for that.
Right. As a DJ yourself, though, you must have appreciated so much of it, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, like that feeling of, there is that feeling of satisfaction when you drop something and everybody gets on the floor and goes crazy. Like that's an awesome moment, right? Like that's an awesome moment, especially like, you know, or when they're handing the tracks back and forth, like there's that moment where there's two singles in front of the DJ and he's like, that one, right? Like, I mean, that's what they used to, that's what Africa Mabata would do with his DJ. Like he would look at one and just hand it to the DJ without even telling him what it was. And it gets all that stuff right. And it's almost as fun being the DJ playing the stuff as it is, out there grinding on the floor. Almost.
Well, good. Well, I am really happy that we are doing these. We have 3 more to go. My number on this one is a 9.5.
I'm a 9, but I don't know ultimately if we're supposed to count these as TV or movies or what, but this is one of the best things I've seen all year.
Yep. Matt.
Yeah, I give it a 9.
Okay.
Right.
9.2 is our number. This is also on Amazon. So the first 2 of them are out there now, and each Friday a new one comes out, and we will bring them all to you. Yes. I have not yet watched the 3rd one. I'm holding on to it.
Oh, Red, White, and Blue. It's really good.
Is this the John Boyega one?
The John Boyega one. We'll talk about that next week.
We'll do that one next week.
Cool. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on the social media at BeFastAllDay, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And of course, please give a visit to our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Exclusive goodies over there for our subscribers, including our current TV recaps of The Mandalorian and The Queen's Gambit. Thanks you guys for watching. Have a great week. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.